We had the unique opportunity today to have our Premier sit down with National Chief Sean Atleo and all of the Grand Chiefs in Alberta to talk about moving our education agenda forward. So we took advantage of that. But again, I want to bring greetings on behalf of our Premier and all my colleagues in the Alberta government. And it is truly a pleasure to be here today. And I want to thank Sustainable Building Consortium and Mansack Isaac Architects for inviting me to be part of this conference and to share some of the work the Alberta government is doing with and in support of First Nations. First Nations are an essential part of this province and have a vital role in our continued prosperity. And many First Nations communities continue to face serious challenges which are preventing them from reaching their full potential and which require new and creative solutions. Water issues, lack of housing, education, transportation are common issues I hear when I travel to communities. We want to help find these solutions, which is why we remain committed to working with First Nation leaders, our government partners, and the private sector. Every First Nation community in this province should have the opportunity to be successful now and into the future. As Minister of Aboriginal Relations, part of my job is keeping the lines of communication open so that we can keep building on our achievements. That being said, it's important to remember that each First Nation in Alberta is unique, with unique histories, goals, concerns, and worldviews. And these need to be considered when policy decisions are made or when programs and initiatives are being developed. Since taking on this portfolio, I've made it to a priority to get out and visit First Nations throughout the province so I can gain a better understanding of their needs and issues. And so far, I've visited half of the 48 First Nation communities. These visits have been a key to another one of my priorities, which is building strong relationships, which are the foundation of all the work we do. Strengthening relationships is also the reason I hosted the Alberta First Nations Opportunity Forum here in Edmonton this past December. The forum brought together the First Nation chiefs, Premier Redford and Cabinet for discussions on finding new ways of working together to fulfill aspirations of First Nations and helping them build sustainable economies. This renewed energy was just the first step, and we will be working with First Nations and treaty organizations on joint actions to address key issues. In fact, our protocol agreement will expire this March, and in talking to the Assembly of Council of Chiefs in Calgary, we've agreed that we will extend the protocol until June, at which time we'll enter into a new protocol which actually have some real teeth to it. We will talk about real issues. We'll talk about education. We'll talk about economic opportunities. We're talking about building strong, sustainable communities, and we'll actually put benchmarks in place in that protocol agreement to measure our success. You know, I think it's important to also acknowledge that there are many First Nations in Alberta that are thriving, and we are seeing some great success stories coming from these communities. The Alberta government has also had a positive results with a number of programs and partnerships that are focused on First Nations community and economic development. For example, the First Nations Development Fund is an Alberta government grant program available exclusively to First Nations in this province. The FNDF is administered through my ministry. It's supported by a portion of the revenues from government-owned slot machines in First Nation casinos. And First Nations can apply to it for social, economic, and community development programs. An important feature of the FNDF is that First Nations set their own priorities and oversee the planning and implementation of the funded projects, which ensures the projects reflect the specific needs and interests of each community. Since 2005, the FNDF has paid out more than $570 million to First Nations throughout the province and supported over 1,000 projects, including, for example, an upgrade of Loon River First Nations water treatment facility, a community garden for the Ermineskin tribe, a new powwow arbor for the Piikani Nation, tuition, books, and living expenses of 22 students at the Red Crow Community College on the Blood Reserve, and I could go on and on. My ministry also works closely with various provincial and federal government branches and industry on initiatives to enhance the involvement of First Nations in the province's economy. In fact, we recently partnered with the Ministry of Human Resources, the Government of Canada, and the Alberta Chamber of Resources to launch the Skills Link pilot program, which is providing students for Aboriginal youth in Alberta to help them gain the skills and experience they need to take advantage of the province's growing job market. All of this is a part of the commitment of Premier Redford and our government to keep building Alberta and focusing on our economic future. And as Minister of Aboriginal Relations, my role is to work with First Nations and our partners to help close the socio-economic gaps that exist between First Nation communities and other Albertans. That is why I welcome the opportunity to be part of the discussions at events like this, and I want to thank the organizers for having me here today, and I wish you good luck in the rest of your conversations during the convention. Thank you very much.